This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3577. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and Mike Hahn. And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, it is a random question. Your guess is as good as mine. Categories: the best sports cities in the USA and the fattest states in the good old US of A. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, a Men's Room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted. Drunkity drunk. All right, here we go. Police bust a group on the Vegas Strip selling illegal turtles out of a suitcase. Meanwhile, a woman hires a killer from Rent a Hitman with hopes her husband would disappear without a trace. Couple takes friend's Lamborghini for a spin on their wedding night that does not end well. Female construction manager says coworkers don't take her seriously. Look at that picture. Holy hell. A Chinese farmer uses facial recognition to stop goat incest. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, we've all heard this, and sure, money may very well be the root of all evil, but we all like to get our hands on as much of that root as we possibly can. Now, most people will work for it. Some people will steal for it. Some people scheme for it. And some people will jump in front of moving trains and have their legs torn off for it. On purpose. To collect $3 million in insurance payouts. Well, at least one person actually did that. It's a guy in Hungary. He seriously threw himself in front of a train, sacrificed his legs for money. Great plan. He got $3.2 million, but in the end, he got figured out, and now he's broke and in a wheelchair. But money is a powerful thing. It makes us do stupid stuff like that, because when you have money, you can buy the things that you really want in life. Like Miles said, turtles. Seriously, police in Las Vegas broke up a group of people on the strip selling turtles. Now, the question is, why were they selling turtles? Easy. They were selling turtles for the same reason people sell anything. Because people are willing to buy their product, even baby turtles from a suitcase on the Vegas Strip. But speaking of turtles, actually, a snapping turtle in Colorado was sent to a local wildlife center, Miles, listen up, after it was run over by an industrial lawnmower. Ooh, poor fella. But unlike the bunnies for Miles' past, the turtle did survive. And is going to make a full recovery, and they're going to release him slowly back into the slow wild in 2022. Because he was wearing a helmet.
He was, in fact. He did have protective gear
which was his show. Now, these are just some of the stories that we've come across, stories that left us with many questions. Questions we'd like to ask you in the form of our random question, and this is how it works. You call us, we will ask you a question that completes random. And after you share your story, we will share with you the news story that inspired said question.
Be a part of the big show, the random question. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live, and send your emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
Jury rolls on. You're listening to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
All the shows, and away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3,577. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. That is a fact. The exciting return of our random question. Also, your guess is as good as mine. We've got a couple good categories for you today. We have the best cities to live in for fans of 5 major sports. And then they combine those numbers to come up with the 10 best sports cities in America overall.
All right.
And these are big cities. They also did it for smaller cities, medium markets, small towns. A lot of college towns involved for basketball, college basketball, college football on that list. Pretty sure that, not that Ann Arbor, Michigan is a smaller town, but, when 100,000 people show up at game day, it's a pretty big sports city.
It is. It's fun.
But we have the 10 best sports cities, if you are a sports fan and living in the United States of America, based on baseball, hockey, basketball, and football cities. And if you care, the best city for soccer fans in the United States is where?
Best city
for soccer fans?
For soccer
Seattle.
fans. Seattle's number 2 on the list. Believe it or not, Los Angeles, California. I guess because they've got a couple teams and maybe have some success. Either way, they say it's the best city.
Okay.
Portland, Oregon comes up on the list.
Sure, of course.
City as far as,
I would think it's always going to be
fans.
Seattle or Portland.
Yeah. But we've got the 10 best cities to live in for 5 major sports if you are a sports fan. The next category, with November, as you know, Steve, you were talking about this in the office earlier, being National Diabetes Awareness Month.
I'm sorry to go on about it. It's just what I do.
And obesity causing the healthcare system around $147 billion each year. A personal finance website today released its report on 2021's most overweight and obese states in the United States of America. They compared 50 states and the District of Columbia across 31 key metrics. They range from share of overweight and obese population to sugary beverage consumption among adolescents to obesity-related healthcare costs. And they basically came up with the 10 most overweight and obese states in the United States of America. So those are the 2 categories coming up. Georgia not in the top 10.
Really?
Georgia 13.
Wow.
They're number 13.
Just because of the whole sweet tea thing, like you start with Coke.
Oh, the home of Coca-Cola.
Right, the home of Coca-Cola. Right, you wean your kids on that. But even as adults, sweet tea is the thing, man.
Georgia's not on that list because of Atlanta. But I can almost guarantee you Mississippi's on there. And there are other states around that.
I was thinking Mississippi and Alabama.
And it definitely...
but the food is good. Look, it's worth getting fat if you live there. It really is.
Diabetes rates are, they figure large into the equation as well, so their percentage of that is ridiculous. 10 states on that list there of the most obese states in the United States of America. That is coming up with your guess is as good as mine. And today and every Monday through Friday at 6, we head on over to the Odyssey app exclusively for the Men's Room Appy Hour.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't have the Odyssey app, just download that now for free. Once you get the Odyssey app, search for the Men's Room or the Men's Room Appy Hour, APPY, and then favorite that channel. That channel only comes on live at 6 o'clock when we leave these airways of KISW and head on over to the Odyssey app. All right? So from there, we recommend that you don't listen with children in your car.
Don't.
These are not the same rules that apply to these airwaves, so we're allowed to have a little bit more freedom. And we'll be doing a lot of swearing today as we review our NFL picks for the weekend.
I know Mike will.
And I know that, normally, you know what? We had a better week than we normally do.
Really?
Believe it or not, it wasn't
I'm watching
as bad.
these games yesterday, and I'm like, man, no one, even teams from the winning teams would not have picked themselves to win some of the games. Or tie, as it were.
Yeah. Oh, one more program.
Some people pick that one, not tie.
Oh, that's right. Still didn't get it right.
We are just a few days away from Live Day at Snoqualmie Casino. Finally, we're inviting you back to join us to be a part of a live studio audience. This is basically the one and only event that we get to do as we celebrate 50 years of KISW. You know the circumstances why, and Steve's already coming out of the box here with his own sound effects. And that wasn't done digitally. That was an actual live fart here. What? Same thing holds true on Live Day. Everything from Steve's farts to the commercials to the music, the sound effects, nothing is pre-recorded. All the bands play live.
I'm going to try to be gassy. That way you know they are, in fact, real farts.
Yeah.
We can jump up at any time and let them rip.
That's right. Now, BJ and Migs are going to start their show at 6 o'clock live from Snoqualmie Casino. There are a few tickets left for BJ and Migs. There are a handful of tickets left for the men's room as well. You can go to either show. You can go to both shows. Just go to KISW.com, see what remains there, and hopefully we'll see you on Thursday at Snoqualmie Casino as KISW Live Day goes solid gold 70s. You'll be playing live dummy with us.
Mm-hmm.
You will
live dummy.
Big dummy. Live big dummy.
Hey, live dummy.
Hey, you live trust me.
You keep talking like that, you're going to be a dead dummy.
In front of the live studio audience, yes, that we hope will be more sober than not after spending the day at Snoqualmie Casino and being there early for BJ and me.
And that's not going to happen.
We understand that. We've done this deal before. It really is a great day. And if you could get a chance to get up there and see either one of the two shows or go live, please do so. Again, KISW.com. All right, today is the day we do our random question. 206-421-ROCK.
Real quick, before we get to the phones, I just want to say congratulations to Susanna, Sarah, and Sophie. Now, this doesn't mean anything, but they keep junking up our goddamn email with the congrats.
They all got promoted here in the company.
Right. And each person individually now must send a one-word email that says congrats. So I've said it for everyone. All right, we're done now. They get it. Stop. Hello, Matt. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
Matt, welcome to the program. The random question. I am having a hard time, Steve, putting my finger on what that smell is that's coming out of your anus.
You know what?
It's called a fart.
Honestly,
You never not know what's coming out of an anus.
Yeah. Yesterday, I was pooping, and you know, people poop, but it's one of those experiences where I go, wait a minute. I can smell the food I've eaten. I had to go through, and I realized that if you eat enough smoked salmon, never had this experience. If you eat enough smoked salmon, you can poop and be reminded that you had smoked salmon.
Anything that's smoked, man. Barbecue's the same way.
No, barbecue does it. Seafood does it. But I'm telling you, smoked salmon, throw that into the pile.
Okay. All right. Okay, man, let's go with this one. Good or bad, what have you done once that you probably will never do again? So good or bad, what have you done that you probably will never do again?
Huh. God, I know I haven't. There's a lot of things. It's just now trying to think of one that sticks out.
I mean, it could be going commando. I zip my penis up my zipper. Stop doing it after that.
That's actually a pretty good one. You know what I'll never do is go on a ride that goes upside down. Like any type of, amusement park thing.
Wait, when did you, you've done it only one time?
Well, let me backtrack. Roller coasters are fine, but you know that Ring of Fire thing where it stops at the top?
Okay, you're right. There's a difference
I can't do that one. Like, I did it once, and I went into shock. Like, it was, like, my lips turned white and stuff. I was so scared. Like, yeah, it wasn't fun.
I mean, I will say this. As I've gotten older, like, roller coasters don't bug me because they go fast enough, right? So by the time you've done a loop-de-loop, you don't even know what happened. But there's, like, those big pirate ship things, right?
I don't like those.
And when they hang upside down, at that moment, I'm like, this was a stupid idea.
I don't like the ones that spin
around. And I'm really skinny, too. So, like, I'm worried I was going to fall out of the thing. Because, like, I mean, you know, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like, exactly, the pirate ship. And then you have the things that go over your shoulders. But when we were stopped, like, I mean, if I didn't hold on, I probably could have fallen out.
You could have, but they kind of assume that your survival instincts will kick in and you'll grab something. But look, even if you're fat, once you're upside down, you can fall out of those things.
Here's what I believe, just based on the way that things go in my world. I will never go to the Super Bowl again.
Why?
I don't know. First of all, the team has to make it that I root for, right? That's number one.
That is problematic, yes.
And then based on how long that time frame is from now until then, what is going to be the cost of actually getting, because it was ridiculously expensive when we went the last time we went, and that was back in 2015.
That was 2012.
2012.
And
so that's even longer ago.
Outside of buying a home or a vehicle, honest to God, that's the most money I've ever spent in one lump sum.
I just don't think, and God forbid they put that game in Las Vegas. Because no matter who's going to play it.
Next year, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be there.
The cost of a ticket is going to be through the roof. So it's not a matter of just not wanting to go, my team's ability to be able to go, but then to even do all of that and then have your team win the Super Bowl, you got a 50-50 shot.
You got a 50-50 shot, but we got lucky at one thing, all right? And we did realize this. So Ravens went in 2012. Great. We live in Seattle. Now, the Super Bowl ticket prices are no different no matter where you live, but when we got there and we started talking to people that were from Baltimore or from San Francisco, when they talked about the cost of their plane ticket, because they go up 4 to 5 times, because they understandably the airlines know, at least we lived in Seattle. Seattle was still the same amount of money to fly to New Orleans as any other time.
Yeah, we got lucky.
Because we're the only Ravens fans here, so that worked out. Actually, you're talking about it. I was talking to my parents yesterday, and my brother is doing a game in Vegas coming up soon, and they're going to fly down and see the game because they want to go to that stadium.
Sure.
And my mom is like my brother's actual groupie. Like, when he does a game at a stadium, and we fly there. But the thing is, he can get you tickets on the house, okay? So I'm talking to my parents yesterday, and they have some very old friends of theirs. My father has been friends with this dude since they were in kindergarten. They are 81 years old, okay? So they're still in contact, and this particular guy lives in Vegas. So my parents, yesterday morning, had called him and said, hey, Adrian's doing the game in Vegas, or whatever the hell the date is, but he can get you tickets. Do you want to go? And they decided they did not want to go. And I said, why the hell not? Now, my parents, they don't want to assume too much, but this is what they think the situation is. So he can get you tickets. Now, keep in mind, if he gets you tickets to go to a game and it's your local game and it's not playoff, it's regular season, it's free. They give him the tickets, okay? He can get you tickets. He can get up to 4 to 5 tickets for the Super Bowl. They are not free. They are face value. So if it's $1,800 to go to the Super Bowl, like
you can get them, you just have to pay for them.
He can get them, but you got to give him the money. So a couple of years ago, my parents had offered to take their friends to a Super Bowl because my brother could get the tickets, but they saw how much it costs and you're on the hook for it. So they didn't go, which is understandable. I mean, it's an obnoxious amount of money for a game. So my parents are under the belief that their friends now think that any tickets he gets, you have to pay for. I said, well, why didn't you tell him? My father's like, he's just not the guy. He's like, one, we're not 100% sure that's the reason.
Right.
So I don't want to presume, because then it becomes a find out, what, you think I'm poor? Whatever the case. So, but they're not going to go to a free game in Vegas because they think they have to pay for the tickets.
Yeah.
But they don't have to pay.
The reason we ask, good or bad, what have you done once that you'll never do again? I'm pretty sure I didn't realize at the time, but when I was in downtown Reno, Nevada, looking around, I should have known right there that I'd never do that again. I'll never be here. Probably, I don't know why. I don't see why I would ever be in that town ever again, but maybe I will. You never know.
Can you go for a show?
You could go for a show. Maybe I'll meet someone that one day lives there. Hell, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I just can't see any reason for going back based on a couple different reasons there. But either way, and when you think about this kind of lifestyle, I tend to think of somebody like we were talking about Taylor Swift in the office today, or a Justin Bieber of the world. But this is a little bit crazy. Adam Driver says he's only been to Comic-Con in San Diego once for his first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, and he's not in a hurry to ever go again, or to any convention in general. During his appearance on the Graham Norton Show, he said, quote, I didn't know the rules. If you want to go outside, they're like, put a mask on so nobody knows who you are. He did not realize he could not leave his hotel room, not even to grab a coffee. Quote, I opened my window because I'd been in the room for 24 hours before this thing, before we were supposed to do it. There was a band at the bottom of the building playing the Star Wars theme on repeat because the cast were all staying in the hotel. It was scary. I mean, Comic-Con is nice, but I'm not anxious to go do that again.
I'd say you can't be a part of the sci-fi or fantasy world and then want to go to Comic-Con. Because the people that know who you are, and look, it doesn't matter. I've been at Emerald City Comic-Con 2 or 3 times now, and what's crazy to me is they can name a character. I say Boba Fett, all right? Like, yeah, man, I know Boba Fett. It's cool. Well, he's here. He just walked by. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I think Jeremy Bullock or something is the name of the actor. I don't know what he looks like if he's not dressed as Boba Fett. I don't know what David Prowse looked like if he's not, or Peter Mayhew, like any of these guys.
Peter Mayhew, you might be able to figure out
he's
when he was
7 feet
alive.
tall,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But people are so into it's like it doesn't matter the role you play, dude. You are like in the equivalent of the Beatles at a Beatles revival. Like people, they will stand outside of your room and wait for you. So when I'm in Emerald City, I'd see a bunch of people like go running by and they're freaking out. And I have to tap my buddy like, who the hell is that? And they're like, oh, that was the guy who was dressed as the Predator in the first Predator movie. I'm like, how do you know what he looks like? How do you know? And they're like, the people that know.
The people that know.
They know.
Yeah, and that one, he was saying, like whatever Star Wars he was in hadn't come out yet.
Right.
So it's already Comic-Con, and then you throw on Star Wars fandom. Like,
but he's one of those guys. I don't know if he's a mean guy. I don't think that's the right term, but he's a very intense guy. He's the guy that does not like seeing his own movies. You know, he just says, look, I act, and then the audience determines if it's success. I want nothing to do with it. Adam Driver is not what you call warm and fuzzy.
Exactly. More of the random question coming up, 206-421-ROCK.
99.9 KISW. The men's room is in progress.
It is our random question, 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Jess. Welcome to the men's room.
Random.
Hola.
Jess, welcome to the program. Random question. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. Can I just tell you guys something silly that I told Mike when I called in this morning? I, for the first time in a very, very long time, played Beat Migs on the first round, and he definitely kicked my butt, but I almost said when they called me on to play, and so I was told by a source to do it next time.
So you lost to Migs and beat Migs.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, some of those questions maybe were, okay, yes, I lost. I'll put it that way.
It's called Beat Migs. It's not called Migs Beats Caller. For shame, Jess.
All right, Jess, let's go with this random question. Okay, how about this one? What have you stolen or what did you steal from work?
Ooh, okay, I don't know if this really counts. This is on our job site, and I wouldn't really call it stealing, but I was on a job site where there was a speed square that had been sitting in the same spot for well over 2 months, and I even asked around, like, hey, did you want to drop your speed square or whatnot? And somebody that I worked with was like, well, it looks like you got a new speed square. And I mean, to be fair, I don't know if that's technically stealing.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's still stealing. It wasn't yours. Obviously, it was someone else's. No one claimed it, and you took it. So it's not maybe it's not theft, but I think that would qualify as stealing.
Yeah.
That's all. But a T-square?
Speed square, yeah. I'm a carpenter, and I was on this job where there was a lot of people there. Tools were sometimes, left in a certain spot. I've had tools walk away on job sites as well.
Oh,
so,
sure.
I mean,
Well,
I
of course.
automatically figured that it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I'm like, well, I mean, speed squares
see.
are a very handy tool.
Okay.
All right. I mean, it's not the worst thing.
When I was working in Hagerstown, I was only there for 8 or 9 months. And part of my job was, besides my on-air shift, I was the production director.
All right.
So the production director is the guy when the salesperson, they sell something, they come out, they want to get that commercial on the air. Either there's a big ad agency that does it, or if there's a little mom and pop, then you produce the commercial.
Right.
Whenever they're having a sale or whatever, and I distribute all that stuff out to the different members of the air staff. I'd do the majority of the production, but they would also help. So we had this one production room, which was basically kind of like my office. Mm-hmm. So I kept all the stuff in there. Well, they have this microphone in there, in the back drawer with a bunch of wires and crap like that. It was the nicest microphone in the building.
Sure.
I did not know why they never used the microphone. But what I did already know was, by the time it got to the point where I was thinking about installing it, using it for production and everything else, I knew I was going to be out the door very, very, very quickly. So instead of installing that so people could see it and use it and know they would like it and wonder where it went, I kept it in the drawer. Because I'm like, look, if I break this bad boy out, then you're going to know it's gone. But you don't know it's gone because it's sitting on.
You don't even know it's here.
A bunch of cables, you know what I mean, in a file cabinet, in a drawer that no one goes into because it's literally just cables and crap and everything else. So I kept that thing buried under there. And then on the last day, I was like, you know what? That bad boy's going home with me. And it was a nice-ass microphone.
You still have it?
Yeah, pretty sure I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's over like $1,000 microphone. It was an AKG.
Yeah.
It was really nice. You know what I mean? I don't know why I need a microphone, but I thought, you know what? Based on how that situation with that job went, I felt absolutely zero guilt about it. It was not a bit, yeah, I'm taking it. I deserve this.
I think in radio, the only thing I've stolen in radio, and I just stole it from the station, was the mic flag, if you will. So, like, if you look at a press conference, you see a microphone, and then you will see the call letters of the TV or radio station with the logo. So I took that thing, and we have since changed it, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
I forgot that I had stolen it. It was sitting out of my house. And years ago, the boss was over there. We're having this big-ass party. And he looks and points at it, and he goes, did you steal that from work? So I was like, well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to tell you.
When you changed the logo and everything else, they changed the mic flag.
Well, now it doesn't matter.
2 or 3 of them.
Stealing a microphone's pretty expensive, though.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, my thing costs like $10.
That was.
I mean, I've already taken some toilet paper.
No, I mean, I went for the microphone.
Is that the worst you've done from work? The standard toilet paper.
But I stole beer when I worked at a liquor store.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even think that counts.
I used to make more nuggets than I needed to, or more strips when I was at Burger King. That way, like the drawer, you can only keep them for a certain period of time. And you're supposed to manage how many you put in there based on the rush, the time, and everything else. And typically they had standard numbers that went into effect every day. So for some reason, and you would understand this, Ted, fish sandwiches would sell more on Friday, depending on the holidays and things like that. So you knew the number, but I always put in 1 or 2 extras, because after it's been in the drawer for 2 hours, then that item needs to be removed and fresh needs to be made, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I'd make more than I needed to. And then I'd sit there and snack on, chicken fingers or whatever the hell it was.
Oh, I get it. I like this guy says, I stole a whole ass copy machine once because my boss made me stay late. Damn.
That's getting it done. Reason we asked what you steal from work. Pennsylvania State Police Corporal Brian Ricard was charged Friday after being accused of stealing heroin from an evidence room. And ingesting it while at work and home, and using work computers and programs to cover up the thefts. Police say Ricard is facing a number of charges: obstruction, administration of law, other governmental function, tampering with records or identification, acquisition or possession of controlled substance. You get the idea. Either way, he has now been suspended without pay under the governor's code of conduct.
Ooh, without pay?
Yes, according to the Pennsylvania State Police. But
that's a tough call, man. I've said that a million times. If I'm first of all, I'd be the dirtiest cop ever, no doubt about it. But you have an evidence room, man, and I happen to know, now heroin is not my drug of choice, but I do have drugs of choice. I know they're in there.
What they say ingesting?
Disappear. The money's going to disappear. It's got nothing but cash and drugs.
When I hear ingesting, I'm assuming that he ate it. And I don't know.
Ingesting just means you got it inside of it. You could smoke it, shoot it, whatever.
Gotcha.
Ingesting just means you literally ingest it.
I like how they make it worse, where they're like, well, he stole heroin from the evidence room. To me, that's the beginning and end of all you have to say. And he did it at work. Don't care. Dude's stealing heroin, man. Would you have been happier if he were selling it?
I mean, if you steal heroin, I assume you're using it.
Yes.
You're right, because if you're going to sell it, you'd have to steal a whole lot.
Yeah, you're taking that for your person. I think. Yeah, I don't think you take anything from work to sell. You know what I mean, necessarily?
No.
I mean, that's
certainly not.
I bet there's a market for your fancy microphone.
You know what? Yeah. You could sell that.
I could sell that.
For a lot of money.
I don't know.
It's a 4-digit microphone. It's AKG. You can probably sell it for $600 right now, man.
Okay.
Easily.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever stolen anything that good.
No. Well, I stole the VCR once back when VCRs meant something, but you couldn't record with it. It could only play. Because I did it for training videos of Chi-Chi's. Hello, Bobby. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola! Bobby, welcome to the program. Random question. All right, Bobby, I think you can do this one. What would you say, and this is kind of related to where we're at today here in Washington, in Western Washington, what is the scariest weather-related situation that you've ever been in?
Oh, my goodness. I love questions like that. So, I grew up in Oklahoma, which, as you know, that's famous for Tornado Alley on a regular basis.
Yes.
2 or 3 times a year. And I had a pretty severely drunk dad growing up who loved to chase storms. And so, every so often it'd be like he'd grab a couple of brewskis, pop them up and say, all right, Bubba, come on, get in the truck. We're going to go watch it. Like, okay, cool. So there I am, child me, riding around with drunk dad in this little pickup truck in Oklahoma several times. And one time, we knew a tornado was on the ground somewhere in the area because we could hear the sirens going off in the next town over type deal. And couldn't see anything. It was totally blacked out. Then the fear set in, not with just me, but with Dad also, whenever the hail started falling on the truck. So totally blacked out. There's hail falling. You see lightning every so often, and he's like, oh. And for me, I was severely concerned because I'm a kid, and I look back on that at just how dangerous a situation that truly could have turned into, because we didn't have any idea where the tornado was or if it was even in our direction or not. We just knew it was somewhere in the area.
Now, when you say he chased storms, most people that call themselves storm chasers, they're also equipped with some kind of machinery and equipment, right? So even though it's a bad idea to do it, they get some kind of scientific measurement. I'm guessing your dad more or less just had a six-pack, his kid, his truck, and just wanted to see a tornado up close.
Yep, tons of hillbilly instinct. There wasn't any scientific equipment in that.
What was the closest that a tornado actually came to your home, just, based on where you lived?
Oh, to my home based on where we lived? There was one on the ground within about a mile a couple of times.
Okay. And when you went to school, did you have to do all the tornado drills and everything?
Oh, yes. You do the tornado drills. They march you out in the hallway, crouch down, and you put a book over your head/neck area. Because I'm pretty sure whenever the bricks of the school come apart and they're flying around, your head won't get, like, hurt too bad, I guess.
So you don't get under the desk or anything? I was trying to remember what I saw as far as videos.
No, we get under the desk for fear of nuclear annihilation.
Yeah, that's atomic bombs.
Yeah, I remember they said that because during the Cold War, they're like, hey, and think of it, you're telling kids in elementary school, if the Soviet Union bombs us with nuclear weapons, you get under your desk. And even as children, we're like, our understanding of nuclear weapons is that hiding under a desk will not solve the problem, because if it did, no one would be scared of nuclear bombs. Yeah. Just get under your desk. You're A-okay.
It's pretty simple. Just get under the desk.
Ted, have you ever had to deal with anything crazy? Weather-wise? I do know that you weren't living there at the time, but there was a tornado that went through College Park.
Yeah.
That was a pretty bad one, but I think you're in Baltimore at the time.
Yeah, a couple people died, right? I wasn't living there. I mean, I've been down to the beach during a hurricane. That's kind of crazy. I guess technically it was a tropical storm by then.
But
so, like, the building's just kind of rocking. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think some of the worst stuff is just the thunderstorms back east. Yeah, just when you're underneath a generator or right
transformer,
and it gets hit by lightning, you're like, holy cow.
I have seen a tornado once. It was not close to us, but you could physically see it probably 20 miles away, and it was in the middle of nowhere, but it's still kind of freaky. I was a kid, and my father said, hope it doesn't come this way. I'm like, well, we all hope it doesn't come this way. Like, that's not fatherly advice. That's common goddamn sense.
I guess me getting hit by lightning on the golf course.
That'll do it.
But I didn't even think about it being a weather-related thing, because
it's weather-related.
I know it is. You just wake up, though, but you don't know what happened. It's like, you really don't. It's like passing out. You just wake up and go, what the hell happened there?
You're struck by lightning.
Yeah, but you didn't know. You didn't hear the bang.
What do you feel like when you wake up? Like, are you tingly?
You are tingly.
Really?
And you got the cold chills and all the hair standing up on your arms and everything else. I mean, you feel like you just got zapped, you know what I mean?
Because you did.
But you're also waking up, so you don't understand, because it feels like you've been asleep for a day.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like you were knocked out for 20, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Like, you don't know how long you were asleep. So you just wake up and you're like, oh, God. Then I saw the tree was on fire, and I was like, oh, I got it now. I think I figured this out. The reason we asked what's the scariest weather-related situation you've been in, heavy storms in Egypt last week washed scorpions into streets and homes. And the resulting attack from the dangerous scorpion left 3 people dead and more than 500 others injured. The fat-tailed scorpions are among the world's deadliest. And after a sting from one's tail, venom can kill a person in less than an hour.
Damn.
So hospitals have been giving extra doses of anti-venom, and locals are being advised to avoid areas with lots of trees. Per the St. Louis Zoo, apparently they're experts, this is not the first time human deaths have been attributed to the fat-tailed scorpion, which typically hides during the day and then uses its stinger to subdue prey and defend itself. But venom from this and other types of scorpions is also being used to fight an aggressive type of brain cancer. Believe it or not.
Really?
A component of the venom is used in something called chimeric antigen receptor, T-cell therapy, and that kills tumor cells. So... much like a scorpion uses toxic components of its venom to target and kill its prey, we're using the same thing to direct the T cells to target the tumor cells, according to a researcher. But either way, 500 people have been injured and 3 have been dead, not from the storm,
but just from the scorpion.
Just from the scorpion attacks.
I'm sorry,
that's
man.
Egypt.
That's when you got to move.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's flooding in this area, and it's bad. It's really bad right now. I mean, hell, half of the hillside near Bellingham on I-5 fell into the northbound lane, 2 or 3 hours ago. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get that cleared up. There's flooding everywhere in Bellingham, in Mount Vernon and all those areas. Mm-hmm. The difference is, and this is honest, not that this is any reason to dismiss the severity of it, but if this were to happen in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, there's going to be alligators in the water. There's going to be cottonmouth snakes in the water. There's going to be all...
That was their problem a few months ago. They had severe flooding there. And the big thing about, there's the obvious warnings you give, like, hey, don't try to drive through the flooding and all the rest of that. Oh, also, there's gators in the water.
There was a guy who went out to take care of his shed. It was in 2 feet of water. 2 feet of flooded water. His wife saw him wade out there. He was in the shed. She saw him get attacked by an alligator. She physically witnessed this happening. They found his body about a week and a half later on the inside of an alligator that they killed and got into to make sure that this was the guy, this was the alligator that killed the dude. I mean, he just went out to a shed to get something in 2 feet of water.
Well, I mean, the gators just use an opportunity.
I mean, it is, but that's what we're saying. Like, look, if you live in the Pacific Northwest, we understand that the threat of mudslides, because it happens here, a couple of times a year.
Absolutely.
We know, but if they said, hey, but in that mud are weird carnivorous gophers that pop out and maul people. You go like, that's too much, and we need to move. I'm sorry, man. You can say you have flooding if you go, oh, yeah, and there's scorpions in those floodwaters. I'm not living there.
And we have a pretty good idea what could feasibly happen in the area as far as there could be a volcanic eruption.
That could be huge. Earthquakes.
Earthquakes. There are definitely tornadoes in this area. The chance of maybe a tsunami on the west coast of Washington based on earthquakes.
But again, I feel more comfortable with that. If they said, look, a volcano might blow. We understand inherently why that's dangerous.
A lahar,
but if they said, but also when that volcano blows, rabid bats explode out with it. Again, like that's too much. So in Egypt, like flooding's bad enough. Don't add killer scorpions into the mix. Like it's just it's too much. Pick one or the other.
The volcano thing's massive. I'll leave out some of the cities, but they're gone.
I'll leave out the. They know.
Well, then I don't think they do. But they wouldn't be living there.
Hello, Cody. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola. Cody, welcome to the program. The random question. All right, Cody, let's go with this one. Cody, if you happen to die, all right, a suspicious death, something's really fishy about how you passed, who should we question first? Who's the first person we should go and talk to?
Oh man, I would
friend,
really out
coworker. You don't have to say their name.
It's a family member for sure.
Okay,
one in particular, or you just assume it would be someone in your family?
Oh no, I got him right in mind.
Okay, would this be because of a life insurance policy or just sheer hatred?
Neither, and it wouldn't even be considered suspicious. Probably, it would just look good. So let me put it this way. I told my wife, if something like this were to ever happen, to look at the dishes. Because she puts them up one way and I put them up another, and if they're put up wrong, she would know that it wasn't right.
So are you saying that it's your partner in crime that you would...
Sounds like it.
The person you live with?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at the spouse first. You're out of your mind if you don't.
Yeah, does she put the dishes away and then you go in there and rearrange them?
No, but we put okay, so I grew up in the panhandle of Texas, and I was always taught by my grandparents, you put the cups upside down and the plates upside down.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the Dust Bowl, because back then, if you had so much dust, your glass is full of dirt.
That's standard operating procedure for most restaurants as well. But the health department would get on you if your cups, glasses, or plates were facing up.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because geographically I'm curious, because Texas is an oddly shaped state. Is the Panhandle the west side of Texas, or is the Panhandle the north end of Texas, toward Plano?
That's actually a really good question. No, I'm from the Panhandle is the north side of the state, like Amarillo. The one that goes up.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I was never sure either. Like,
I mean, obviously, that's the part that sticks up, but also the west kind of goes out as well.
Wouldn't you call that like the stalk?
And that's why it looks like it's a handle on a pan, too.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Well, I guess, panhandle. There it is, right there in the name.
Reason if we asked if you die, who should we question first? A real woman tried to hire a hitman on a fake website. Wendy Ween, 52, found Rent a Hitman online.
Oh, my God.
And filled out a form asking for help killing her ex-husband. Unfortunately for her, and perhaps fortunately for her ex, that site is owned not by a hitman, but a computer professional, who initially launched it in 2005 to promote a hacking prevention business. Years later, he started checking the site's inbox and found a lot of disturbing requests not related to that business. Since then, he's made a site into what he thought was an obvious joke, but when he gets requests, he turns them over to police. That's when he did that with Ween, who used a pseudonym, but her otherwise real contact information was correct. She put in her service request on the site that her ex had stolen $20,000, and she didn't want to commit the crime herself. I prefer not to go to jail, she wrote. Forwarded that to the Michigan State Police, who posed as people affiliated with the site to contact her. She gave a detective her ex's address and told them when and where he works, and a $200 down payment on the $5,000 tab for murder. They charged her, and she pleaded guilty Friday and could serve 9 years in jail.
Wow.
More of the random question coming up, 206-421.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
En Lowe's tenemos grandes inventarios disponibles en cientos de productos que los profesionales necesitan todos los días, como tejas, concreto, madera y más. Y ahora te los entregamos al día siguiente directamente en tu obra. Empieza hoy y ordena en línea o visita el mostrador para pros en tiendas. Disponible de lunes a sábado en artículos selectos en inventario solo en el área metropolitana de Charlotte, sujeto a disponibilidad. Para pedidos hechos antes de las 4 p.m. Más detalles en el mostrador para pros.